Hello there, chess kids. FunMasterMike is here to bring you an idea that I don't think we have a video on ChessKid. So I'm really glad that you're here on YouTube. And hopefully, if you haven't done it already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of my secret ideas. Today, we're going to take a look at a very special formation of pieces called Alekhine's gun. Now, you know I don't like violence away from the board, but on the board, you can be pretty violent with your pieces, okay? And this is a very special formation where you've got a queen and two rooks, but interestingly, you put the rooks on top of the queen. The queen's at the bottom, which almost seems kind of backward. It's kind of like having a birthday cake with your candle at the bottom and the cake on top. Yeah, that wouldn't make very much sense, but Alekhine's gun makes a lot of sense. And why not have Mr. Alexander Alekhine show us the idea? He is former world champion after all. Take a look at our chessboard. Alekhine is white, and you can see the entire game is resting on control of the c-file. Now, white could very easily just put the queen on c3. But now your best piece is in front, and then the problem is, if your queen is ever the piece that captures, you're going to lose her for a knight or for a rook. You're not going to get enough compensation. So, because this knight is in such a horrible pin, it's actually pinned twice, notice. It's pinned on the c-file, and it's pinned on the diagonal. Alekhine takes his time to get his queens and his rooks exactly where he wants them to be. He first plays rook c3, which looks like a pretty calm move, but I guess you could say he's loading the gun. And after queen to d7, then the rook comes to c2. Well, I think you guys are figuring out what's about to happen. When the king moves to f8, I mean, what can black do, right? The knight is pinned twice. He's just kind of hanging out. Then queen to c1. Okay, now it's very important that we count the attackers and defenders. This knight is being attacked how many times, chess kids? Well, I think the answer is 4. 1, 2 directly, but we do count the rook and the queen for backup. I think there's so much marking on the c-file, you can barely see where the pieces are. That means that black needs 4 defenders. Remember, if it's a tie, the defending side is usually okay. Black only has 1, 2, 3 defenders, so I'm sure you figured out the next move. Rook over to c8. Now, it is 4 to 4. Black is just barely hanging on. But Alekhine's gun is not going anywhere. These pieces are just going to stay on the c-file and attack this knight forever. And the first thing that white does is he brings his bishop back to a4, which uncovers this square. He's about to attack the knight with a 5th piece, and he's attacking it with a pawn, which means he's very happy to trade pawn for knight on the next turn. Now, black is pretty desperate to stop this, so black actually gives a pawn rather than give away the knight. Not a bad thought. So Alekhine takes it. And then black says, wait a minute, you're just going to go back and repeat the idea. I need to be able to move my knight when you do that, which means my rook needs more protection. I don't have a lot of pieces left. I'm going to use my king. The bishop goes back to a4, and then black plays king d8 just in time. The king defends the rook. And now I think b5 is actually not the strongest move, because black will move the knight somewhere. There won't be a pin anymore this way, because the pawn will be blocking the bishop. And the rook will have just enough defenders. 1, 2, 3 pieces will be threatening the rook, but 1, 2, 3 pieces will be guarding the rook. So black is, like I said, just barely hanging on. So in this position, Alekhine said, well, I seem to have most of my pieces perfectly placed. How do I win? How do I do it? Turns out there's actually a lot of winning methods. One is to try to bring the knight around to the square c5. But even if you get to c5, you do block your Alekhine's gun, and that's not the theme of this video. And who knows, maybe there's some weird way where the knight can take. Probably not, but you never know. In this position, Alekhine says, black has no moves. Yeah, don't forget about the idea of Zugzwang. Now, Zugzwang is when you have to move, but you don't have any good ones. And we don't usually have Zugzwang with so many pieces on the board, but Alekhine actually got his opponent to resign by just pushing a pawn. And here's the idea. Black, if he moves the knight, he loses the queen. If he moves the queen away, the queen no longer defends the rook, which means b5 is winner, winner, chicken dinner. If you move this knight, then you don't have enough defenders of this guy. If you move this rook, you don't have enough defenders of this guy, so b5 wins. If you move your king, same story, b5 wins. Are you starting to realize that black has no good moves? Now you might say, but FunMasterMike, black can move a pawn. Yeah, sure, then I'll move a pawn, and then you'll move a pawn, and then I'll just simply move my king sideways or something. And now you are officially in Zugzwang thanks to Alekhine's gun. Take a look at this formation. Queen, behind 2 rooks. This is a very, very picturesque example of Alekhine's gun working, but it is a very useful formation of pieces in a lot of different chess positions. Hopefully you'll use it, and hopefully you'll click subscribe so I can teach you more of my secrets in future videos.